Hello everyone, this is Saurabh Kumar and I welcome you all to my video series of CISSP. Today we are going to talk about threat modeling concept and methodology. We are still in chapter number 1 where we are talking about understand and apply threat modeling concept and methodology. As we all know, what is threat modeling is? Simply, threat modeling is the security process where potential threats are being identified, it is being categorized and analyzed by any of the security professional. Now, it can be performed as a proactive measure and in the format of reactive measure. What is proactive measure is? Proactive measure we generally use during design and development of any application or program, where reactive measure we use generally when already a product has been deployed. Let me give some more clarification on it. So a proactive approach to threat modeling takes place during the earliest stage of system development. When already a program is being developed, being designed, that period of time we use proactive approach to find out what kind of threat it may have and what kind of solution we can add there. So it is actually specifically during initial design and a specification establishment period of time which we use a proactive approach. Then once already the program is ready or maybe it is already deployed, then we use reactive approach. So a reactive approach to threat modeling take place once or after the product has been already created and deployed over the network or maybe with your users. Now, there are so many different kind of methodology which being used to do the threat modeling. So one of them which is being used by Microsoft, here it is, the name is called as a SDL. So Microsoft actually uses a SDL process which is called as a security development lifecycle. This process is to consider and implement security at each stage of the product development. When a product is being developed, when a product is being designed, at each step they check it. They check for the vulnerability, they check for the threats and they add the solution there. So this SDL actually is also support the motto of secure by design, secure by default and secure in deployment and secure in communication. So that's why when we talk about in short name, you can see here also it has a short name that is SDL 3 plus C, meaning that SD comes 3 times: secure by design, secure by default, secure in deployment, and then C means communication. Now to achieve the goal, what exactly by using the SDL method, what is the main goal are? So there are two main goals are there when they following this process. The very first goal is to reduce the number of security related design and coding defects, so that whenever you are making a program, whatever program you are designing, how much you can reduce the number of security related design and coding defects, the problems, the vulnerability. And second goal is to reduce the severity of any remaining defects. If you have left it previously, how you can solve it or how you can remove them. So that was all about when we talk about Microsoft SDL, Security Development Lifecycle. Now we are going to talk about identifying the threats. Whenever you are acting as a security professional, when you are working as a security professional, your task will be to identify the threats. And now to identify the threats, generally organization or security professional may use 3 different tricks. They can identify the threats on the basis of or focusing on the assets. So they can first of all check the asset, and then on the basis of that they can identify threat. Second category comes that is focused on attacker, and the third comes as a focused on software. Now let me try to elaborate all of them. So when we talk about them, when we are going to talk about maybe focused on asset, what does it mean? The meaning that here when we talking about the focused on asset, first of all we are going to evaluate or we are going to give a value to each of your asset. After giving a value to your asset, you will be able to determine what kind of assets you have. Is it a top secret? Is it a confidential? Is it a low secret? On the basis of that, you can focus on the threats. You can identify the threat. Maybe your data asset is having a very low value, then you can categorize that threats as a low risk. When your asset is having a very high value, you can categorize the threats also as a very high risk. Then we can also categorize on the basis or on the focusing on attacker. Sometime security professional they categorize the threat on the basis of attacker, meaning that they think that what kind of attacker may try to attack or gain the access on our resources. What exactly they want? Do they want to maybe steal your data? Do they want to maybe temper your data? What they will be trying to do? Or do they want to just maybe sniff the data? So on the basis or on the category of different kind of attacker, then you can also identify the threats. For example, a government is often able to identify potential attacker and recognize what the attacker want to achieve. So they can then use this knowledge to identify and protect their relevant assets. So a challenge with this approach is that a new attacker can appear and that were not previously considered as a threat, because when you are maybe categorizing or identifying the threats, maybe you have not think about that attacker which has just became attacker, or maybe they are willing to attack on your system, they are willing to attack on your program. So that is a problem when we talk about focused on attacker. So that's why now the third category we can use focused on software. The meaning that if an organization develop any kind of software, it can consider the potential threats against the software. Such as maybe you are developing maybe a website, or maybe you are making a program. Now obviously to make it attractive, to make it looking very nice, you may add so many different design there. You may add so many different cool features there. But those design, those attractive assets which you are adding there, they may also lead to have some kind of threats. So on the basis of on the focusing on software, we can also identify different kind of threats, and after identifying them we can look for the solution as well. Now another thing is, when attempting to inventory and categorizing the threat, it is often helpful to use a guide or any kind of reference. So what kind of guide or reference we can use as a maybe when we talk about a security professional? So for that I am going to give a name here, and that name is known as a Strike. So Microsoft developed a threat categorization scheme which is known as a stride. So here you can see a stride means here it looks like STRIDE, which one is having a kind of big name, and when I try to list their name, what does it mean? S and TRIDE all. So here is the list of them. S means a spoofing, T for tampering, R for repudiation, I means information disclosure, D means denial of service, and E means elevation of privilege. So these are some of the kind of things which we have to take care about. And Microsoft, that's why has developed a categorization scheme which is known as a stripe. Means you have to look for all of these things. We already know what does it mean of a spoofing. So when we talk about maybe a spoofing, what does it mean? A spoofing means anything, any kind of attack where the goal is to gain the access to the target system through the use of any kind of false identity. Anybody, any attacker is maybe using falsified identity. That identity can be maybe like a false IP address. It can be maybe false MAC address. It can be maybe a false username. It can be maybe a false system name. It can be even a false maybe SSID of your Wi-Fi. So these are some of the different kind of a spoofing can be done by the attacker. Second thing we have to take care about is tampering. And we all know what is tampering means. Any file maybe you have, that file is containing some information. Maybe it contains information 1, 2, 3. Somebody just unauthorized user maybe access this file and they do the temper, meaning that they maybe make it 1 to 4. So that is what tempering means. Your original data has been changed, has been manipulated. So what is the meaning of tempering is any action resulting in unauthorized changes or manipulation of the data by unauthorized user. Then the third we have, that is repudiation. What is the meaning of repudiation is? Simply when I talk about repudiation, the ability of any user or attacker to deny having performed an action or activity. Maybe I am an IT person, I did some changes in the system and then I deny that no, I am not the one who did this task. That is what actually repudiation means. So we have to take care about it, that how we can have non-repudiation. Then the next thing is information disclosure. Information disclosure means simply you can call it like a leak of data. Whatever whatever information you have, the revelation or distribution of any private, confidential or controlled information to the external or unauthorized entity, that will be information disclosure. Then we have to also take care about denial of service, because sometime attacker, if they are not able to do any kind of tempering, if they are not able to do any kind of information disclosure, what they may do is they can just do the DOS attack. They may just try to give so many different kind of attack to your system, to your program, to your website, to your system, to your network, so that it stops working. And it can be done through different method. Maybe they can use MAC flooding. Maybe they can use ARP flooding. So by using any kind of flooding technology, maybe they can even use hping command. So by using such kind of methods, they can do the denial of service attack. And then the last one is elevation of privilege. Sometimes what happens, that user may access your resource as a normal user, as a standard user, but after that, by using some threats, by using some kind of maybe attack, they will be escalating their privilege. So they were logged in as a normal user, but now they have reached to the level of administrator maybe. So that is what actually elevation of privilege is. A normal user which was logged in as a normal user, but because of some threat, because of some kind of vulnerability or attack, he has gained his label. So we have to take care about this all things, and altogether the name of this all is STRIDE, STRIDE, a spoofing, tempering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service attack, and elevation of privilege. So this was all about the STRIDE. Now, when we talk about some other different kind of method, when we talk about maybe different kind of services or methodology which we can use to do the threat modeling. So there are very many different categories are. There are different names are. But before that, let me first talk about one thing which is known as PASTA, which is full in process for attack, simulation and threat analysis. This is again a kind of method which people use actually. And to achieve it, we go through the 7 stages. So let me list all the stage here. Very first stage we do, that is called as a DO, definition of the objective. So very first thing what we are going to do is, to do the PASTA, we are going to find out the objective, which is going to help us to analyze of the risk. Second stage, we are going to defining the technical scope, which is known as DTS, definition of the technical scope. Third step, which we call it as a, when we talk about the third stage, we are calling it ADA, the meaning that application, decomposition and analysis. Then we go for the fourth stage, which is known as TA, threat analysis. We are going to analyze the threat by using any of the method which I discussed earlier in this video. Then next steps comes, that is we are going to find out weakness and vulnerability in the program. We are going to find out the weakness and vulnerability in the application, in the system, in the network. And after that, after finding out the vulnerability and weakness, we are going to do attack modeling and simulation. So most of the time, security professional, they go for the attack modeling, they go for the simulation, they try to make a scenario where they can do the attack so that they can reach to the next stage, which is known as risk analysis. They can analyze the all possible risk and they can manage it. So if I try to put them all into a graphical format, it is going to look like this. First we do a stage 1 where we are going to definition of the objective. Then we go to stage 2, definition of the technical scope. Then we go to a stage 3, application decomposition as assertion. Then we go to a stage 4, threat analysis, a stage 5, weakness and vulnerability analysis, a stage 6, attack modeling and simulation, and the final stage is risk analysis and management. And obviously, being a security professional, you have to be continuing them. So that's why it is into this format. You have to go again to a stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. So there are so many different kind of threat modeling methodologies are. Some of them I have not added here, and but when we talk about maybe exam perspective, let me give some other name also. So one another kind of threat modeling, we call it as a. So let me just go here. One moment. So if I give you another name which we can have, that is called as a strike. This Trike is also a kind of threat modeling methodology which focus on the actually risk model. So when we compare it with maybe a stride, it is actually a bit different, because when we talk about a stride, it was talking about a spoofing, it was talking about tampering, it was talking about other thing. But when we talk about Trike, actually it is going to focus on the risk-based approach. So it is different when we compare with a stride, and also it is different from another method which is known as DREAD, DREAD. What is the meaning of DREAD here is D for disaster. Then R meaning that reproducibility. Then when we talk about E, here E defines exploitability. Then when we talk about A means affected users. And then when we talk about D, here D meaning that discoverability. So discoverability. So that is what actually DREAD is. And we have already talked about a stride. So Trike is a bit different compared to a stride, as well as with the DREAD, because what basic goal is, what is the main focus of the Trike is, it focus on the risk model. So whatever risk model we have used in a stride, whatever we have used in a DREAD, on the basis of that, Trike also works, but it is a little bit different compared to the stride and DREAD. Then there can be so many different other kind of threat modelings also, and one more which is most common, which is known as VAST. The meaning is visual, agile, simple threat. So this is also a kind of threat modeling concept which based actually on the agile project management and programming principles. So the goal of VAST is actually to integrate threat and risk management into an agile programming environment on a scalable basis. So these are just few of the vast array of threat modeling concepts and methodology available from the community groups, commercial entities, government agency, as well as from the international association. So when we generally the purpose of when we talk about a stride or when we talk about any other kind of threat modeling or methodology is to consider the range of compromise concerns and to focus on the goal or end result of any kind of attack which may happen or which can happen on any of the program or any of the assets which you have for your organization. Attempting to identify each and every specific attack method, technique in an impossible task. So when any security professionals say that I am going to find out all different kind of threats and I am going to secure 100% the network or any resource, that is almost next to the impossible. So what we can do actually is we can just categorize whatever the existing threats are, so that we will be able to at least stop them. We will be categorize them in such a way so that any even new attacks which is being developed day by day, every day, can be also stopped somehow, and we can protect our resource, we can protect our data from any kind of attack. As we all know that any every day there are so many number of attacker, they are making new kind of attack, they are developing new attack. So what we are going to do is, our goal or our purpose, what we are going to talk about is that we have to make sure that we are able to identify all different kind of threats, we are able to categorize them, and we follow this kind of methods such as like a stride, we can follow some methods such as pasta, so that we will be able to stop different kind of attack which may happen on our network, which may happen to our organization. So potential threats to our business are broad and varied. So any company actually faces threats from the nature, technology, and the people. We have to categorize them, we have to identify them, and we have to stop them. So in this video, basically my main goal was to talk about what are the different kind of threat modelings or concepts we have, what are the different kind of methodologies are there when we talk about threat modeling. So I have finished about it, but before I end this video, let me also go with the some of the questions which usually comes when we talk about CISSP exam. So here they are, two questions I have brought them for you guys, so you can have a look on them. First question saying that Gary is analyzing a security incident, and during his investigation he encounters a user who denies having performed an action, but Gary thinks or believes that he did perform. So what does it mean? What kind of threat you are going to put inside of it when we consider a stride model? So in a stride model, I have talked about spoofing, I have talked about T for tempering the data. So according to that, what do you think? What kind of attack or what kind of threat it is? If your answer is repudiation, that means your answer is right, because repudiation means any user who deny what he has done. Then the next question here is, Bobby is investigating a security incident and he discovers that an attacker began or started with a normal user account but managed to exploit a system vulnerability to provide that account with administrative right. Meaning that he logged in with a normal user, but later on he did attack by using the administrative right. So what do you think? Which kind of attack do you think it was? Was it a spoofing? Was it a repudiation? Was it a tempering? Or was it a elevation of privilege? And I hope you have already got the answer of this question in this video. So that was all about in this particular video, and I hope this video was informative for you all, and I would like to thank you for watching.